You are listening to the Push Media Podcast Network.
This is good shit.
What's my favorite word? Bitch! Why you gotta say it like short? Blow the whistle. And if I hear one more person talking about this whistleblower, I'm gonna whistle blow my brains out. Right out the back of me old head. In the middle of a city street, right in the dead center of the intersection on a Friday afternoon. No earlier than 4:30 p.m. That's how much I've had it up to here. And I am pointing my hand to show you where I mean when I say here. And I can assure you, it's very, very high. I am sick of hearing about whistleblowers because it used to mean something when we were talking about, like, Watergate or, the Pentagon Papers, whatever was going on with all that. I didn't pay enough attention in college. The point of why I say all this is because this new whistleblower who everyone will not shut the hell up about. And when I say everyone, what I mean by everyone is obviously the traditional cable outlets that have news, the things that are dwindling in terms of audience. And then in terms of what you see in the real world, those people who won't shut the hell up about this whistleblower named Francis, which should have been our first red flag. Those people are just, elderly, whether they're physically old or just spiritually and mentally old and feeble and just baby boomerish. The same people that get their news from, cable television and still understand how cable television remotes work, for that matter. Have any of you looked at a new cable television remote recently? Somehow they have gotten completely fucking complicated. Elderly people can't do shit for dick when it comes to making or incorporating technology into their life, but what they can do, apparently, is perfect the cable remote. Because now, I had to get DirecTV, and it fucking sucks. It looks like it's Mission Control just to change a channel. I don't understand it. It's a weird thing that has evolved. But anyway, this rant is going to get back on course starting now. So Francis Hogan, or Hagen, however you pronounce it, I don't know. I sure do hope it's Francis Hogan, though, because that, to me, sounds like what Hulk Hogan would get called by his mom when he was doing something bad. Francis Hulkward Hogan, what do you think you're doing? Hulkward Hogan. Hulkward is hilarious because it sounds like you're saying Edward properly, only with the word Hulk in front of it, which is obviously a name. And obviously Hulk Hogan got caught on camera fucking brother. Anyway, not his brother, but you get what I was going for there. Back to Francis. So whistleblower used to be a term reserved for people who risked their lives or freedom to make the public aware of something that could have implications or will, just as a certain matter of fact, if nothing is done about it. And most of the time, nothing could be done about anything unless the citizens are told and made known of something. That's what a whistleblower was. It was someone like Edward Snowden, who maybe is actually full of shit, as the more I consider it, but who knows. But at the time, I sure did believe in dude, and he actually, maybe he's lying too, because he, not unlike this Francis person, came forward, albeit he way more first than this fool, other than, actually, yeah, way more first did Edward Snowden. I mean, he was like 2012, 13, I think. Anyway, he came forward with things that most people kind of knew, or I guess less people did. But now the whistleblower term has devolved into what it is, where Francis Hogan is coming forward, revealing her identity after 9 months of not having one or claiming one or getting one assigned to her. Shout out to them. She steps forward with groundbreaking, revelatory news to let the public know. Brace yourself for this. Are you sitting down? Facebook's bad. Are you... In the words of Todd Shaw, which is something I like to try and use as much as possible, those words, blow the whistle, because Bitch, you're telling that's me, that's news. That's what you're risking your life for, in air quotes. That's what you've given up financial certainty and damn near risking death, because let's face it, like, you piss off Mark Zuckerberg, the guy who keeps buying every single private island that pops up or has native people on it with a thriving economy primarily based on tourism, that billionaire that you're pissing off to the point of making his company go offline. That's someone who will kill you, bitch. That's true hand to God. And I know I shouldn't do that when discussing murder and using the word bitch, but boy, if there was ever a certain time where I would feel comfortable combining all three, it would be in this hypothetical or real situation. So this groundbreaking news that's not news, this thing that keeps apparently blowing everyone's mind, but the reason I think it's not actually blowing your mind, if you've had your mind blown by the revelatory news that whistleblower Francis is telling you, you never had a mind to begin with. So I would argue, how did it get blown? The only thing getting blown is me by your mother. She's blowing me and the whole crew and the rest of the gang from Facebook. That's what we're taking advantage of, because now things are about to get weird. Francis is telling us information like Facebook is bad because they have figured out that they get more money by having content that is engaged with more. So they're going to show you content you'll engage with because they get more money. And then the separate fact, the thing that is mutually exclusive from this story, from this point presented, is the fact that the thing that people engage with, at least online, probably due to the anonymity of being online, is bad shit. Is shit they disagree with, is shit they don't like. It's things that they will engage with, because there is no quicker emotion to suck the average man or woman or child into to trigger the average Joe Schmo Homo sapien into than anger, because it is a fool's emotion. It is the utmost opposite of self-discipline and control, and self-discipline and control are the hardest things to have, and everyone would agree with that. And the exact opposite of those things would be anger, rage, and a result of those two being stupidity and deceptibility. So that's what you're experiencing here if you cannot believe Facebook is a bad thing for you, because Facebook was never a good thing. I am, thankfully, and this is one of the first times I get to say I do remember when, as an old person, I remember Facebook and MySpace both being online and going at each other. And when there was overlap, I was in middle school getting ready to go into high school. I had seen both. I knew about both. I didn't make either of them because I had crazy parents who thought literally Tom, the first friend from MySpace, was a child predator when they found out I had a MySpace page, who now buy Blue Lives Matter t-shirts online off of Facebook Marketplace and sell used furniture to people. Those same people who are now on Facebook nonstop, and all of their simpleton-ass friends who do the same, sending paragraph-long messages to each other about going to Bed Bath & Beyond for their third oldest's second semester at junior college, and impassioned rants about why the vaccine's bad. Those dumb, idiot, clown fools, quite frankly, have somehow been told news that is at least 5 years old and will not shut the hell up about it. And the first reason I thought this story was a little fishy at first was for a couple of reasons. One, because Facebook doesn't go down. That's not what happens. Mark Zuckerberg is maybe an alien supervillain. Or, you know what? I'm going to stick with supervillain because I think he's in the Bloods. So was happening. Bull bomb and belected. Anyway, back to that. So there's a decent enough shot that this story was bullshit right out of the gate because her name's Frances. The second thing that seemed a little strange to me was the way she was positioning her arguments. And there weren't even really arguments, and that was really, I think, the fucking skillfulness of it all, because she, to me, feels like she's pushing an agenda. And I don't want to be someone, at least this early in my life, who says this is the Democratic Party, because that just looks like a terrible way to live your life. But it does kind of feel, or at least sniff and smell and scratch and sniff a little bit like that, because she's coming forward and saying these things like, Facebook has an algorithm that shows you things you don't like or things you engage with, and everyone engages with things they don't like a lot or things that make them angry. And the things that make people angry are hate speech, and hate speech needs to be censored. Essentially, Facebook is profiting off of speech that is hurtful or causes violence towards other individuals or groups of people. So that's the crux of the thing. That's what we, as the people hearing this groundbreaking news, need to be the most upset about, and understand that the problem, as us stupid dumb cow folk, Facebook makes money by showing us bullies' words. That's bad. Go to your room. That's essentially what she was first pointing out. And then just to back up this, other than the fact that she had all these things that she stole, quote unquote, I guess, I don't know. If you steal something and no one knows who you are, the last thing you do is come forward and tell everyone, hey, I stole them. That's just me, especially when you stole things from a guy who really is one of the few people with enough resources to still in this day and age have you killed however he wants. You don't do that. It seems a little strange. But then there's a little amusing anecdote on her 60-minute highlight where she explains how she lost a near dear friend of hers to the tragic circumstances of misinformation online. Are you worried that a family member or friend are susceptible to fake news? Do you remember that message that Facebook sent a few months ago just randomly, where they were just trying to alert everyone that if you were a loved one, they basically made it sound like if you were kind of into like looking at Trump mugs on Facebook, or I don't even want to say QAnon, because obviously if you go that far, that's who they're talking about. But like people who are not even remotely in that pool, but still just far slightly to the right, what they're saying, at least online, is that this hate speech is really coming from those people, regardless of how far they are on the spectrum of the political right, at least online, that spectrum, and then re-spectrified digitally speaking. If you're on that side whatsoever, you are at least capable of writing, whether you know it or not, some of this hate speech, which is contributing to this awful problem that we, the dumb cow people, have just had explained to us about Facebook profiting off of promoting immorality within their content. I call bullshit, Francis Xavier. If your name's Francis, the only job you should have is you should be one of the sons who have a small painting business with your father. That's who Francis is reserved for exclusively in my book. Because let's run your situation out. Let's consider what you're saying. The problem is Facebook is profiting off of words that hurt people's feelings or cause violence. How do we stop that? Well, the government has to intervene and tell Facebook what they can or cannot do. They have to censor Facebook, right? That'd be the simplest way to explain what I just said. Now, Facebook has a whole bunch of PR problems, to put it lightly. Maybe they were responsible for an election in 2016 being stolen by Russian clickbait farms. Sure, that happens. What are you going to do? If there's going to be a Russia, that's sure as hell going to be a thing that happens. Thank you for MK Ultra. Also, Facebook is being questioned for their role, or their at least influence in the role of events that led to the riots on January 6th at the Capitol. The thing that we now know the FBI at the very least was complicit in allowing to have happen while they got real-time updates texted to them by a couple members of the Proud Boys. That event, Facebook's going to have to get going over to Congress, sit down, and by the same people that watch cable news, get asked questions about just how responsible are you and your algorithms for what happened at this riot that nearly cost Nancy Pelosi her desk chair. Those same motherfuckers. So the solution to that problem, right, would be censoring what's able to be seen on Facebook. Okay, now, wait a minute. If you're telling me the issue is there's words on Facebook that hurt people's feelings and those words make Facebook more money, so you're going to see them more, the solution is not letting people say those words. What you're doing is saying people are only allowed to say words that certain people agree with. And those certain people being the U.S. government. Whoa. Now take a step back. What's Facebook? It's social media. What's social media? It's the way you express yourself. It's the way you speech. Who gives a fuck? These things happen. It's the way you talk. It's your ideas. It's you let the world know, if you so choose, publicly what you believe, what you stand for, who you are as an individual. What this whistleblower, who that term traditionally used for people that, pissed off the government, that whistleblower is calling, and very, very craftfully not using the exact words, for government censorship and restriction over social media, which is an extension, at this point, probably even more important than how loud you can talk, because you can reach more people on it, of your right to speech. What she's calling for, what this whistleblower is trying to blow off, is the First Amendment, folks. Problem, red flag, consider the implications, because believe me, when I first heard the story, I'm like, oh shit, we're going to find out Facebook's eating kids or something. Whistleblower at Facebook, like the company that we all know is fucking evil and does the shit that she just told us, and everyone's acting like, wow, could you believe this? Kind of like R. Kelly pissing on kids 15 years ago, and now everyone's finding out he's a bad dude. Who saw that coming? I had to take a step back, too, as I'm reading the story. I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck is she saying everyone should have to do? Wait a minute, she was a former employee at Google, the company that essentially just is the internet in colloquial terms, and also was funded by the U.S. Navy. Also, this woman, Frances, for some reason, is now, after claiming an identity or coming forward, whatever term she wants to use, is also in contact and managed by a couple people who run a PR firm that was originally a deputy press member for Barack Obama. One of those crisis agencies, And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you've seen the movie Gone Girl, think Tyler Perry, when he's not in a dress and actually doing something serious for once and not being made to wear a dress, which is, again, another conspiracy about black guys in Hollywood, but for another day. Even though Dave Chappelle got another special out. God damn, how does the dude put out 6 specials and 3 fucking, yes, it's crazy. I don't know. But if you want the answer to that question, listen to my last episode with Hector Lewis, comedian who opens for him. That was a shameless plug for myself for a previous episode. That's not how time works. Or is it? Because people are reacting to news that is not news. It is not news Facebook's bad. It is not news Facebook shows you shit you don't like. To me, and maybe I'm just a little more perceptive than the average fucking idiot walking around, but over the last 5 years, Facebook got awful and the world got worse when everyone's parents got on Facebook or figured out how to use it. When people like my parents, birth parents, who originally, when MySpace came out, thought Tom, the first friend, was a predator who might kidnap and pedophile me, those people get on Facebook, they start using it, they start wanting to, be a part of whatever the fuck it is. That was the downfall of society to me. That was when it became abundantly clear how much Facebook can manipulate anyone who uses it, particularly people who are not native to technology, who are learning something for the first time. And when you learn something for the first time, when you do something for the first time, what I'm trying to say is you're not learning it, you're just doing it. So Facebook's essentially teaching you incorrectly how to use it so they can take as much time, money, and emotional energy from you, because that's what gets them the most money or engagement or money to buy the kids that they eat, which is what I thought or hoped the story was going to be in the first fucking place, until Frances just told us shit we already knew. And people won't shut the hell up about it. With the results of everyone, and the worst part is, people aren't shutting the hell up about it. And if this ends up being one of the few instances where people take action, organize, and try and get something done, it will all be a fucking hoodwinked trick which has signs of intelligence, NSA, the Democratic Party, any other far right, whatever you want to call it, because sure, it's crazy town, but also sometimes it's true. Whatever you want to call that cabal, Illuminati group, the people doing shit, the New World Order, whatever the motherfucking fuck it is or is not, whatever that group is, they did a very good job with this one, because if they are able to do the impossible and figure out a way to get people to organize and take action and demand change up until there is no point but change to come upon something, if it happens, all we've managed to do is censor ourselves, because we stormed the Capitol. We would storm the Capitol, right? Which is something we already fucking did. Can't you believe it? Wow, turns out that it is possible. We get to the Capitol. We demand Facebook is making us go crazy. It has nothing to do with us, our self-discipline or self-control. It's we're angry, and anger is easy to have happen to us, and it makes us feel bad, and make Facebook stop, or we're going to kill everyone and ourselves. That's essentially the argument. That's what we're being told is how we feel and think and what should happen. And then the government is going to go, it's okay, have some warm milk, you stupid dumb cow person. We're going to take over Facebook and then other social media companies, because Facebook's the titan, the rest are dominoes, and then it all happens that way. And then we won't let anyone share anything they or you aren't allowed to see, like hate speech. And hate speech, folks, is not real. And whenever you say hate speech is not real, you sound like someone who's shitting on trans bathrooms or something. And don't get me wrong, I have, and it's a case-by-case situation in most instances, except all of them, because it's not. Hate speech is also not real. Literally, the U.S. Supreme Court has decided that in a few cases. First of them being Brandenburg versus Ohio, where they let a man in the Ku Klux Klan go to a predominantly Jewish town, stand in the middle of a cul-de-sac, and yell, "We don't like you." And when I say we, it was just him, I'm pretty sure. It was just him in one Klan robe yelling, "We don't like Jews." Which is never a good look. You don't ever want to be that guy. But do you know how we find out who among us do not like our Jewish brothers and sisters? It's by letting those dum-dums tell us, you idiots, this is not complicated. The solution to words that you do not like or thoughts you do not agree with is hearing them. How do you even know what you don't like or don't agree with unless you have the idea presented to you? I think in a lot of times it is far more important to determine what you don't like or what you don't believe in rather than you do, because it is much harder. It is so much harder. I think anyone would agree that it is much harder to determine what you do believe in. It is significantly easier to realize what you don't believe in. Just to give you an example for me, I don't believe in pissing on kids like R. Kelly does. Now, it would be very hard for me to realize I believed in doing that, because if you believe in it, you would have to experience it. But because I do not believe in doing such things, unless, of course, that kid was just stung by a jellyfish and desperately was yelling, "Please pee on me," and no one else was in sight, then maybe I would choose to be a hero. But boy, I really hope I do not have that responsibility ever thrust upon me. But you know the old saying about heroes, sometimes they do. But anyway, my point is, once I heard someone did believe in that shit, I immediately knew I didn't. So it's easy to realize what you don't believe in, which can help you find out what you do. Very important. And the only reason I think, at least, and whatever I think is true, the reason this whistleblower, in a very sneaky way, is arguing for censorship, somehow the results of what she is arguing for would be the government having the ability to limit the ideas you're allowed to see, which is pretty much just taking out the concept of process of elimination when it comes to information, which in turn helps you decide what you believe or don't believe in. That gets a little scary, but it's really, really fucking well done as a plan. Bravo. That shit is complicated. It sounds like her plan, her whistleblower ruse, was directed by Steven Soderbergh or some shit like that. Well done, PR firm of the Obama administration. The only thing that I would say was sloppy in your execution was giving this bitch, to quote Todd Shaw again, because boy, I love doing that, was giving this girl the name Frances, because Frances is a name, like I said, reserved for people who paint houses with their father and own one van for the whole family, or your local parish priest, or a name encarved on a headstone because that shit is old. Don't be named Francis. That was your first mistake. Also, lock up how you pronounce your last name, Hogan, Hagen, whatever. But also do better, because you almost got this one by me. You almost snuck it right by me, this give the government control of social media thing. And it's really crap. I want to keep complimenting it. It's artful, because the argument that everyone you hear a lot, right, with social media things are they utilities or are they private businesses? Because they are town halls or town squares, which is the same hypothetical, what's the word I'm looking for? Literary device blank, whatever, for the thing that represents what the Supreme Court used when they did decide free speech rulings and, cases brought to them. So town hall would be the thing that you're allowed to just get up and speak from. The thing that you need to stand on in order to give your free speech that you have a right to give would be the hypothetical town hall. But that hypothetical town hall is no longer hypothetical anymore. That now it's real. Now it's social media. It's online. It's digital. It's everything you represent yourself as online. So giving that thing over to the very last people on anyone's list that you would want to have power over that, but getting us to want to give it over to them, all because they tricked us into thinking some people are getting bullied. Do you know anyone cyberbullied? I don't. Tyler, the Creator, who sucks, don't get me wrong, but years ago I heard him make a point about cyberbullying where he's like, I'm not even, wow, that was bad. I'm not even going to try. I'm sorry. He sounds, you know the voice. It's kind of, it's a little much. But anyway, he gave a quote where he was talking about cyberbullying, and Tyler, the Creator, said, cyberbullying, shut the fucking computer. Go outside. It's now fast forward. He might be bisexual, and he's making lauded music, really just exploiting old jazz musicians. Welcome to the big leagues, kid. That's music. You want to be famous? Take it off. You're gay now, all right? It helps us sell more records. Whatever you need me to do. I'll put on a pink dress suit. It's not like there's a track record for that in Hollywood. The thing that so sucks but is so well done that they're so good at, the thing I admire but is so fucking evil, is getting it to be done by the people who are getting taken from. If you ain't on the take, you're getting took. We're handing over the keys to a self-driving car that we are inside of to our worst enemy. We are buying a gun from a store right at the beginning of COVID because we don't know what's going to happen, loading that gun and giving it to the person who is most in disagreement with us on every major political issue. We are deciding, in the interest of what's best for our safety and well-being, to do the worst thing because we've been tricked into it. All I hope, I can't even say ask, because who the fuck am I to ask you to get smarter? Because let's face it, not everyone has that ability. All I think you should try and do is not get fooled. Don't get your chain took. And on some lighter news, I would like to call to mind the fact that Eminem, this is a real story, opened up a restaurant in Detroit called Mom Spaghetti, and it fucking sucks. This is real again, I would like to stress. Awful reviews. They literally sell a sandwich that's just spaghetti in between two slices of bread, and get this, they call it this Paschetti sandwich. Not even spaghetti. That's real. We might go to war with China. Actually, we're definitely going to war with China. Who saw that coming? Oh, wait, his name rhymes with me. Been saying 19 episodes now that China's the problem. And John Cena's serious problem. John Cena's really tipped the iceberg. because Taiwan, I don't even want to get into it. I've said my piece on China. The day of judgment has come. Ni hao, shay shay. Nothing I could do about that. And then there's the Pandora Papers, which in some more news that isn't news that happened 5 years ago, or I just thought was common knowledge from the get-go, companies, millionaires, billionaires, foreign leaders, princes, kings, people of incredible wealth and power are evading taxes, hiding money through shell corporations, putting them in banks offshores like the Cayman Islands, or giving their mistresses penthouses in New York City through companies that don't exist, a la Vladimir Putin. This is all groundbreaking information compiled by another fellow camper at the Whistleblower Academy, full of information that I thought we all knew. You mean to tell me Vladimir Putin is doing some unethical shit with money and has a mistress? No, the ground that I stand on shakes. You mean to tell me that companies, in an effort to avoid paying crazy high and ever-increasing taxes on the business that they start at most of the time and provide at least a local community with jobs, in an interest to hide some of that money they just think is just crazy, they will put it in banks outside of the country in the Cayman Islands? What's the Cayman Islands? I've never heard of this. Where is this? Is this in the Pacific or Atlantic Ocean? I've never heard of these islands that are known and associated with banks. You fucking buffoons. You clown, idiot, dumb fucks. This is not news. This is not a whistleblower compiling a dossier and giving it a title that has a minor alliteration in the beginning. Pandora's Papers. What I should have said is the Pandora Papers, which is a collection of a dossier of documents that prove the collaboration between the company Wayfair and the jewelry store Pandora, that they are trafficking children and selling their body parts and various teeth and molars and blood inside their Alex and Ani bracelets. Now that is something I want to have the whistle blown on. You know what I'm saying? Blow the whistle.